Hello students, good afternoon and welcome to our math class today. We are continuing our lesson on symmetry from Unit 12, page 64. In the previous lesson, we dealt with symmetry and we understood that symmetry is when you divide a shape into two equal matching halves. Okay, so today we're going to do about how we can put our line of symmetry still into different shapes that we might have. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand that our line of symmetry, it's kind of a broken line like this. Your line of symmetry can either go a diagonal, it can go a horizontal, or it can also go vertical. Okay, so when it is going vertical, it means that it is going from top to down or down to top. If it is going horizontal, it means that it is going from left to right or right to left, depending on the shape that you are dealing with. Again, when you also want to put a diagonal line of symmetry, it can start from the left corner to the right bottom, or it starts from the right top and then to the left bottom. Okay, so each line is a line, a diagonal line showing line of symmetry. Okay, so you can either use this one to make your line of symmetry, or you can use this particular one to also make a line of symmetry. Again, what you should also understand is that some shapes can have more than one line of symmetry. Others can also take just one line. Some can take up to uncountable numbers. So we're going to see the shape that can take up to infinity and the shape that can take, let's say, one line of symmetry, and some shapes that cannot take line of symmetry at all. So some shapes cannot take line of symmetry at all. These are some of the things that you should always note. Okay, so this is a circle, and when we look at a circle, any side that you put your line of symmetry is going to have an equal half. So we say that a circle is having infinite line of symmetry. That means that you cannot count it. It is uncountable. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at this shape. This shape appeared in our first activity in our previous lesson, and some people were confused because this portion was not shown, and we were supposed to show that portion to make our objects a symmetrical object. So when we say an object is a symmetrical, it means that you can put a line of symmetry inside and then you can have equal halves. Okay, okay, so now we know that our circle will have uncountable line of symmetry. So it means any side that we put our line of symmetry, it is going to work for us to have equal halves. Okay, so we can just put, let's say, 1. So we can put a vertical line of symmetry and we will have equal halves. Okay, so we can just put 1 for a start and we have our line of symmetry. We can also put diagonal. Okay, so once we have the diagonal, it's also possible you have a line of symmetry. You can put as many as you can put and they will all be correct, because anywhere you put your line of symmetry in a circle, it is correct. Once it is passing through the center, it is correct. So you can take as many as possible. That means it is to infinity. Okay, okay, now let's look at this shape. So if you look at this shape, if you go through this side, this half will not match the other half. Okay, if you also go diagonal, you will also not have a proper half. So the best place to put this one will be in the middle of this place. Okay, so our line of symmetry will go in the middle like this. Okay, so once we put our line of symmetry in the middle, it means that this half will match this half. When we close it, it's going to fit equally into both sides. Okay, now this is an alphabet scale. Some alphabets are symmetrical, some alphabets are not symmetrical. So whenever you are dealing with alphabets, you look at all the shapes, okay, all the drawings, and be very careful. So this is scale. So because of this sign, it means that we cannot put a line of symmetry into KO. That means it is not possible. So KO is non-symmetrical alphabets. We cannot put line of symmetry into that. And then let's look at Z. If you look at Z, is it possible that you can put line of symmetry into this one? Okay, so this will be a question that we're going to answer whilst we go through our discussion in Telegram. If you think we can put line of symmetry inside, you tell me. If you think we cannot put it inside, you also tell me. And let's see those who get it correct and those who will get it wrong. I'll post your first activity on this video section for you to handle, and then we'll meet in our second video. Hello students, welcome back to our second video. On our second video, we're going to look at how many line of symmetry that we can put into different shapes, okay? So we have some shapes here that we're going to go through that will help us to identify how many lines of symmetry that we can put. You have to always remember that your line of symmetry can be a vertical, a horizontal, or that of a diagonal, okay? So we have an example of a triangle over here, and this triangle is having two sides equal, okay? You have these two sides equal, and this side is different from the other side. So this triangle can take only one line of symmetry, okay? So we have a line of symmetry going through. That means that this half will be equal to that of the other half. Some triangle, or one particular triangle, that is the equilateral triangle, is a triangle that is having all the three sizes equal. So that triangle can have three lines of symmetry. But with this particular isosceles that we are dealing with, it means that only two sides are equal and can take only one line of symmetry. So when we're supposed to count the number of lines of symmetry, we only write one here. That means it can only take one line of symmetry. So this is a rectangle, and in the case of the rectangle, we can put a vertical line of symmetry, or we can put a horizontal line of symmetry. That means it can take only two lines of symmetry. If you put a diagonal from this side up to this side, unlike the square, it's not going to work. With a rectangle, you cannot put a line of symmetry from this up to that corner, and that is not going to work for you, okay? So you always have to be careful about that. So this can only take two lines of symmetry, okay? So it can only take two lines of symmetry. That is a rectangle. Whereas in the case of a square, it can take four lines of symmetry. So let's look at a circle, okay? So in the case of a circle, on our first video, I told you that it can take as many as possible. That means it can take up to infinity. So in the case of a circle, I've only drawn a few lines over there, and it means that you can still draw as many as possible, okay? So that we will say it is okay. So it takes an infinite figure. That means you can do as many as possible, okay? So in the case of a circle, you cannot count. It can take as many as possible that you can take. So on this video, we're going to have our second activity that will be posted to you, and then afterwards we'll meet in our last video to finish this lesson on symmetry. Thank you. Students, I hope you have enjoyed your first two sections. On this section, we will be doing a recap of our lesson on symmetry. So what do you remember about symmetry? Symmetry is when you are dividing a shape into two equal matching halves. We use line of symmetry to divide these shapes that we are working on. Your line of symmetry are normally drawn in a broken line. The same line can also be called a line of refraction, or it can be called as a mirror line. You can draw your line in a vertical direction, that means it is going from top to down, or you can draw on a horizontal, that means it is going from left to right or right to left. You can as well do it in a diagonal, okay? So diagonal means it is picking the corners, okay? It is picking the right corners to give you your proper line of symmetry. Anytime you are dealing with shape, please look around your shape very well to know that both sides will match before you put your line of symmetry inside. Some shapes cannot take line of symmetry, and those shapes we call them non-symmetrical shapes. Those that can take line of symmetry, we call them symmetrical shapes, okay? So symmetrical shapes are shapes that you can put that line of symmetry inside. In the case of a circle, you should always know that it is uncountable and it is up to whatever number that you want to put there, okay? You should also know the difference between a rectangle and that of a square. Square will take 4 lines of symmetry, whilst a rectangle will only take 2 lines of symmetry. We'll finish our lesson on symmetry now and have our homework that will be posted to you through the Telegram group. I'll see you again next week on a different topic. Goodbye.